Good evening, Internet, and welcome to episode 30. 30! We have hit 30 on Malt Magic, the Forgotten Kingdom of Nylin. Yeah, totally distracted by my players off screen there, but don't worry about it. So, episode 30, we are slowly but surely getting on there towards our first year. So yeah, it's pretty mad. You'll have to forgive me tonight. I am suffering with a bit of a head cold, so if my voice sounds funny or any of the voices I do fuck up more than usual, then yeah, that's the reason why. But as per usual, let's start out with our shout-outs and our thank yous to the tools that we use to make this stream all the more entertaining. So first to Hero Forge for the awesome character creations. We have edited our minis since... or edited our characters since having them printed, which fills me with immense joy, as you can imagine, having spent money and shipping and presents and... Anyway, we'll move on. So yeah, thank you very much to Hero Forge for the awesome character creation tools. I have actually been using them this week to help me with a little bit of a new personal project I'm doing, which is to sketch various characters, improve some drawing, learn a bit more drawing, so that's been a useful tool, not just for the game, but outside the game as well. A massive thank you to Tabletop Audio for the ambience, which you can hear now, and you will hear throughout our stream and throughout our episodes. Always a huge thank you and a massive shout out to D&D Beyond. For those of you not familiar with it, where have you been? For those of you that are using it, I'm sure you can agree that it is a brilliant tool to help you manage your game, whether you're a DM or a player. All those resources right at your fingertips. Mapping tools, of course, always useful as well. So a huge thank you and a huge shout out to Incarnate. And then some of the smaller tools I use, such as Kassoon, which is one of those Patreon type scenarios. I don't know what you'd want to call it, but Patreon sort of shop, if you like. But they've got some awesome DM resources, 5e Magic Shop, and then of course our affiliation with Battle Bards. It would not be a Molten Magic stream without a huge shout out to Battle Bards. Hopefully we will hear some of the sound effects tonight, but if you want to bring more immersion to your game, please go give Battle Bards a look. Please go check them out. If you decide to buy anything or decide to subscribe to them, please use the code Molten Magic. Get yourselves a cheeky discount. Make it a little less impactful on the bank balance, while getting some awesome sound effects. And I suppose my final shout out, if you've not already checked it out, I've been shouting out for the last couple of weeks, please do go check out our very own Samau DMing his own campaign on YouTube, Tales of Tionar. If we've not tweeted it out, we really should. So we'll make sure to do that, but please do check that out. It is an awesome series, great bunch of players. It is hysterical, to be fair, to listen to these lot play. Almost slightly more hysterical than listening to Danny, to be fair. However, with that, let's get on with our game. Let's go.
Hysterical.
I've just noted a small problem.
What?
It said episode 29 on the title screen.
Ah, well.
Don't worry.
No one noticed. It's fine. It's fine.
It's
I
fine.
need to count it.
So
Yeah.
it's fine.
I can do it again
we
if you
are on
like.
episode 30. Oh well, no, we might have to in a minute.
That's
but,
fucked up my thumbnails for
so-
YouTube.
It's fine.
Should we do it again? Should we just correct it and
No,
do it
I'll do it
again?
in crayon. On a piece of paper.
Good stuff. So let's go down the line as always. I am Matt, the DM, and I also play the sidekick character of Bothrid, who is a hobgoblin barbarian druid with some new abilities now since the double level up.
Hi, Danny, and my screen is frozen, so I don't know if you can hear.
Yeah, it's suddenly decided to go
We can
wrong.
hear you, it's jumpy. There we go.
I said my
Try
screen
again,
froze,
mate.
so I don't know if you can hear me.
Oh, we heard
Obviously
you.
couldn't.
We're just waiting for the
So-
intro now.
Good. I'll play under, and I'm going to refresh my page.
Sounds good.
Oh. I'm Simo, and I play Kirik Grave Tusk, the cleric. Something else no one knows yet. Maybe today.
Maybe.
Or maybe not at all. I'm Dave. I play Dargon, the Goliath fighter / warlock, and I apparently forgot to change the episode title. So,
Are we ready to do it again?
yeah, I can do it again if you want.
Right, here we go. Roll titles.
Hey, it actually said it.
There we go.
If you've just joined
It's
us,
been a
you've got
long
triple
Monday,
balls.
folks.
It's been a long Monday.
Been a
A
long
long Monday. I think for all of us, it's been a long Monday. But we have D&D. We have our lovely viewers to keep us entertained for the rest of the evening. So last time on Malt and
have
Magic,
whiskey.
yeah, not forgetting the whiskey, of course. I am drinking through this cold with a Talisker. I forget which one, actually. Which am I on? Oh, the 10-year-old.
Nice.
Thanks to our very own Danny. So, last time on Malt and Magic, we had the aftermath of the Christmas episode, the festive episode, where Dargon went all furry for a brief period, dealt with the aftermath of that, investigated some of the items that were gifted to the players from the mysterious character Nick, as well as some of the other gifts that were given, with a little trip to Mephisto's magical menagerie, bought some more stuff, fleeced him of all of his potions of healing as per usual, and then went over to the Malt Masters. Little bits in the temple between there, but the Malt Masters was pretty much where most of the action happened last week, in the war room. Lots of discussions had. An investigation into Vraco's whereabouts have supposedly revealed where he is, and so the plans began. The distiller, when I get it right. No, the stillman, even. That's what head colds do to you people. So the stillman, having seemingly
Not just me that can't remember
spoken
the Malt Masters.
Yeah, the problem is that I created them. So anyway, so the stillman, supposedly having communicated with Captain Swift about some plans for her ship, which currently rests still in Loch Telmer. No, Loch Essamere. Still get that wrong. Loch Essamere, in the middle of the map. Oh, it's going to be a long evening.
It is.
No, we will get on with it. It's so their ships, the Winter's Tale, still rests within Loch Essamere, but now undergoing a series of improvements and augmentations to hopefully make it airworthy as well as seaworthy. The Stillman asked to speed up that process, and then, as we said at the end of last week, we are now going to do a 2-week time skip. So I asked you all at the end of last episode.
They supposedly know where Vraco is. Supposedly?
Well, nothing's proven until you find him.
Oh, he's not going to be there now, is he?
Would I do such a thing?
Well,
Yes.
Yes!
something will be.
We will have to wait and see. It's whether you trust the cleric, really. He did the scrying spell.
No, it's always the
Oh,
cleric.
now it's good.
Just slowly shoulder that one.
Where do we want to start?
As I said, at the end of last episode, I did ask you to at least let me know during the week what you would like to do during your 2-week period. So, I am first going to come straight to Kirik, because I have never seen so much detail on a message around what you would like to do in your downtime and time skip. So there's a lot to get through here, but we're going to go for it.
Yeah.
So, Kirik. Say again, Danny.
Is that why you had 3 pages of notes? It was just some Al's stuff.
Oh no, I've got 3.5 pages worth of notes because of all of you. To be fair, by the time we all got through it, there was a significant amount of detail for everyone. But we start with Kirik. So, we have had the conversation with the Malt Masters, and everybody sort of then went their separate ways and began to do various bits. Dargon immediately leaves with the Cooper down to the training arena and begins to study his new abilities, but also train in his existing abilities. Ander disappears and sort of takes the distiller to the side and has a bit of a quiet chat. More on that later. You yourself, Kirik, what is the first thing that you choose to do?
I would be going out just to the house. I think I would spend the first day I'm going to spend most of my days reading the book of the Raven Queen.
Okay. Roll me 3d10, please.
3d10. 4, 10, 3.
So 17 total.
Yeah.
You managed to complete 17 hours worth of study into this book.
Okay.
In the 2 weeks, which is no mean feat.
17 hours on the book.
So,
cool.
17 out of, I think I said it was 100 last week. Pretty sure I said that 100 hours. Yeah, 100 hours. Yeah. So you managed to get 17 hours sorted. And slowly but surely you begin to become more familiar with some of the temples around Nylin. You discover some locations outside of towns that you weren't aware of, although you've not managed to really commit them to memory yet. But there are seemingly more temples than you were aware of. There's a lot of mysteries surrounding the Raven Queen as well. Mysteries surrounding how she came to power, how the temples feed into that, and how her followers begin to feed into that power as well. And every now and again you read the words, "Guard the Veil."
Okay. They appeared like in different locations and stuff. Is there any connection I can make regarding those?
So there's no real connection. Most of the major cities in Nylin have a temple. There is only one city that you understand does not currently have a temple, and that is the city of Deluin. And upon reading that, I will make me an intelligence check, actually, please.
Straight intelligence.
Just straight intelligence. Let's see how much you recall of this particular passage right now.
15.
With a 15, you begin to understand that there was once a temple to the Raven Queen in Deluin, but it was ransacked as part of a coup in the city itself, and has not been rebuilt since.
Okay. I can't spell ransack, apparently. There you go. Oh. Awesome.
So we have the book.
Yes. Tick. I think... so I'll go through the stuff that isn't kind of regular that I would do. So probably around halfway through the first week, I would set up my mirror and I would attempt to cast a scrying spell on Zapanir.
Okay. It's alright. I should have had this spell up, but I never did. And the one bit I forgot in my notes. Okay, so...
my save is at 17 at the moment.
Your...
My save is at 17. My spell save.
As you reach out and sort of cast that spell looking into the mirror fogs ice begins to form around the rim. But as it forms around the rim, the spell itself almost stutters, and you're unable to make a connection.
Cool. Fair enough. So then, on another day, around right about the halfway point, I think, of these 2 weeks, I would I will head out and have a conversation with Dargon. At what point?
Okay. So, at this point, for the sake of it, we'll say that Dargon has just returned from the fighting arena, having been training with the Cooper and some of the other guards, and you catch him. He's looking pretty banged up, pretty weary. It's been a hard day, or at least a hard afternoon's worth of fighting. I will let you two continue on.
You seem tired today. Been a good training session.
Yeah, they they done off it hard. I've got to say, Jesus. But yeah, no, I learned a good amount though. Yeah.
Oh, good. Good.
It's what I want to be doing. You know, getting fitter. That's what I need.
Well, I was hoping that perhaps at some point we could train together. I don't have the physical capability of yourself, but I've since we've been traveling together, I find myself more and more in situations of danger. And whilst, of course, your presence is going to be very welcome to get me out of tricky situations, I would also quite like, I think, to maybe learn a little bit from how you handle yourself. If that's something that you want to do.
Yeah, absolutely. You know, I'm happy to teach you, you know, as much as I can about, you know, how I've fought in the past and how I do now. So yeah, sure. You know, get a bit when you get hit, bloody hurts. But yeah, I'm sure we can do something. What do you want to know?
Mostly just, I know it's not really your style, but perhaps something more dedicated to being able to take more hits, or just not really much. I'm not looking to really hit with weapons, but perhaps withstand a little bit more impacts will be good.
I'm sure we can do that, and I've taken the fair few hits myself over the time, and you've seen that. I'm sure that we can do that. Sounds good. Do you want to start with a simple sparring session, or, you know, and then just work up from there? Bit of hand-to-hand combat for a start. How about that?
You're the teacher here. Sounds good.
So yeah, start teaching him, you know, some of the, you know, sort of, you know, some of the fighter stuff that I learned, you know, way back when. You know, start going over, the stances and you know, and taking that hit, maybe even, you know, how it glances off sometimes, and just, you know, eventually sort of, you know, getting it so that when someone hits you, it doesn't seem to do as much damage.
Cool. Kirik, roll me. I am going to say a roll me a wisdom athletics check, please.
Oh, nice. 19.
19. So, throughout the time when you're training with Dargon, eventually things begin to sort of become muscle memory. And you begin to understand Dargon as an opponent and how he fights, especially in hand-to-hand combat, sort of without weapons. And by the end of sort of the 2 weeks, as you do the hand-to-hand combat training and you see Dargon, the way he moves, you begin to understand that. And in doing so, you're able to deflect and defend against the blows that come in. Also then occasionally striking out and sort of just backhand slapping Dargon where you defeat his defences, or defeat his offences even. And in doing so, your ability to read your opponent and to understand as attacks come in and how to defend against them, how to fight better, begin to grow that little bit more.
Nice.
You can you can also at times just look into yourself and in combat feel stronger. You may get hit down and you've seen me, but you stand back up again. And I know it takes a beating to learn that, but you will learn it and you will be able to get back up again, even off death's door.
And Bothrid, who's been watching, but the rage within fuels the fight.
Kiriko, I think you've seen me a couple times just, get smacked real hard. Just come back up breathing. And I don't rage. I don't get as angry as Bothrid does, but I just get that strength back to stay in the fight.
I spend kind of rest of my time kind of learning how to fuel that strength.
Excellent stuff. So that is the training with Dargon. The attempt to scry on Zapanir.
Mm-hmm.
So, Mr. Gravetusk, what is next?
Next up, I will kind of spend some in one of the mornings. I will wake up quite early and go into the garden where we have in the back of the house. And I will take out these the kind of bone, kind of bits of bone that I collected back in previous town we were in with the tower, with the watchtower, that I've been kind of working on, putting some ruby dust inside, filling, kind of tying the roses that Bothrid made for us all together to make kind of these focus kind of hearings kind of thing, and I'll place it around in a circle, and I'll place my mirror in the center of it, and I will attempt to see through the mirror into a location that we've been to before, and I'm going to spend my morning casting 2 clairvoyance spells, one of them on Greenflower and the other one in the area around the Iron Forge. I was going to say Iron Keep, but that's a different thing.
It is indeed. So we will start with Greenflower, and as you cast the spell, and it takes a good 10 minutes to fuel that energy into the components and into the mirror itself. And eventually, as you look into the mirror, it's almost like you fall into the mirror and just begin to see around. One could almost say like some sort of science fiction series where a certain boy with spectacles puts his head in a bowl of water and shapes begin to form around you. And as you look around, because this is only seeing, you see a dark village. A village that is familiar, but at the same time strange to you. The crops that were beginning to turn green now stand all but destroyed. Barely patches of crops remain. The ground itself is littered with rags And now as you look closer, with bone, with body parts, the houses, as you focus in on them, splattered with blood, doors wrenched off their hinges, windows broken, gardens destroyed. You focus in on the rest of the village. You look towards the stable, where the stable master Grallen, or Grellen even, once tended to horses. You see no signs of horses. You see a door bent inwards, splintered. There is no blood on the floor. And now, as your vision turns towards the graveyards, you see no longer level-ish land, but just pockmarked lands with all these holes where the dead have risen. And then you turn towards the dock, and as your vision turns, a creature instantly springs up in front of you, flesh hanging from the bones, jaw hanging slack, an eyeball missing, the other one looking wayward, and then just shambles towards the dock. And as you focus in on the dock, you can just see the lines of undead, almost waiting.
Okay. Not cool, but cool.
Not cool, but cool.
And then, yeah. And then I, after kind of recovering, making a note to that is something that needs sorting out, I will cast clairvoyance on the area surrounding Ironforge.
Okay. And this one takes a little bit longer than 10 minutes. That sort of initial vision of Greenflower is disturbing and is not quite what you wanted to see. But eventually, again, it catches and you feel yourself being drawn into the mirror as shapes begin to form. And the first thing that strikes your vision is this beam of golden light that just seemingly descends from the heavens and strikes into the dead centre of the keep at Ironforge. As you focus in on the keep, and you can see that the light itself almost totally encompasses the whole keep. The ground around the keep, previously dead, has begun to show signs of life. Grass is beginning to grow. Flowers are beginning to form, and you can almost see what looks like the odd bug or insect buzzing around. Within the keep itself, as your vision focuses in, the vines that were once sort of dead, brown, are now more green, with flowers growing out of them as well. There are no sign of the spiders or the webs that once filled this place. And although there is this golden light, the ruins are still there. The walls are still fallen. And then you can see somewhere, almost in that golden light, the just steady pulse. 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 Not coming from above, but coming from within the keep itself. Almost as golden light just shines and bursts. And then as you focus, a shadow launches up into this golden light, and the golden light itself recedes upwards, following the shadow into the sky. And all is still again. As your vision draws out from the keep, you can see the land around the keep itself, that green, begin to slowly spread. The darkness, the death energy that once seemingly seeped into the ground seems to be slowly receding or being beaten back as life returns to Ironforge.
Cool. I'll make a note to tell Ander there are no more spiders in Ironforge, and cool. Yep. Make a note of all of that, and then I would tell the party kind of the end of the day what I'd seen on both those locations.
Okay, does anybody in the party want to chime in at that point, having been told of the events or the visions that Kirik has seen of both Greenflower and Ironforge?
I mean, that could mean, Dagon, that Dawnbringer might be nearly ready.
Oh, don't get me hopes up now, Ander. Blowing heck.
I mean, they said when you're in your hour of need, there's no hour of need like the Isle of the Dead, so I think we might be close.
Hey, Dawnbringer didn't like chopping the old, undead in half. So, one can only hope. But that, I have to say, does sound really good about Ironforge. Really good. But what you told me about Greenflower gives me the creeps. We knew them all. Well, briefly.
Mm-hmm.
You said that they were waiting at the docks.
Yes, they were all lined up. They appeared to be waiting for something. What that something is, I don't know, but can't be good.
An undead army heading this way doesn't sound like a thrilling idea.
At least they can't get across the sea.
Wow.
Hopefully.
For now.
What about if there are boats heading their way? Can we know that?
I mean, if you're brave enough to cross that sea, I think you might be equipped enough to tackle them somewhat. Although if they're all waiting by the shore, they should be able to see them and hopefully not.
What I mean is if there is a ship on its way to go pick them up.
Oh, I see what you mean.
Who's sending them? Well, I think we know who. And where are they going? And how the hell do we stop that? It's not like we can go, oh, they must have left from Seameat. They could have left from anywhere.
More questions and not enough answers.
Do you know what? I've just had a thought. For what I wanted to do on my time off, would I even be here for this conversation?
Very good point. No. Ander is not there.
Yeah.
Where's Ander?
I'm talking
everything
via
Ander has just
sending.
said.
I'm talking via sending stones with Dagon, right?
What will you say? Actually, no, I'm not going to retcon this. The mirror that you use, Kirik, is also being used right now to see a vision of Ander, wherever he may be, and you are communicating in this way through the mirror.
Sure.
Nicely done.
Go with that.
Anything else?
In Thieves' Cant, it's called FaceTime.
You may need to refocus. We're all focused on the trees behind you, not really your face. You might need to try and get a little bit closer.
Yeah, just move the mirror backwards and forwards, will you? Yeah.
Yeah.
But anyway, suppose there's nothing we can do about it now. So, unless we do ask that gentleman down at Seameat if he knows of anything. Could warn him, maybe. If you see a big ship of undead, run for your life. How about that?
Could do. I'll let the Malt Masters. I'll let the Malt Masters know about this as well.
That's a good point, actually. Maybe they can look after it, because I keep forgetting we can possibly tell them.
I think any information that we can give and the swap would be appreciated.
Yep. Won't see me complaining.
Mm-hmm.
Cool. And we'll say, for the sake of it, while we're on that topic, as you do inform the Malt Masters, they sort of inform you that usually Vraco would be the one that they would have sent to deal with such a threat, to deal with such an incident.
Oh.
But him not being there now presents them with a unique and unforeseen situation. Something they choose to discuss amongst themselves.
That's interesting.
Forgive me, guys. You did send him before. What's changed to where, if he was here, and you'd send him again, if I may ask and be so bold?
And it's the distiller who chimes up. Well, Vraco was usually the one who had the right abilities to deal with such creatures.
Yeah.
We try not to interfere too much. Hence, we invite adventurers such as yourselves. However, the situation in Greenflower seems dire. And when Vraco last returned, he said he had vanquished what he could. It seems like more are rising.
So, it's a clear and present danger, potentially, or probably. But also, unlikely...
You've not read it.
Unlikely that we would be able to, with our wonderful cleric here, who has a affinity with the undead as well. You are saying that, well, should we actually be hedging our bets and heading over to Greenflower? Or should we, as much as I would be very, very... I'd find it very difficult to leave Vraco there. Should we do this, or should we get Vraco and then go in all guns blazing?
I think perhaps there is little we can do for Greenflower right now. The residents, we can only hope there are at least some survivors who have fled, hopefully westward, or just got out of there before they were overrun. Vraco is most certainly our pressing need. Whatever force has him, whatever force took him, even, English, whatever force took him, I feel like that is the more important course. Once he is back and recovered, perhaps then we will send you all. And I think perhaps Johannes as well. Let us send the full force of our lieutenants to deal with this threat and end it. But to do so, we need our lieutenants here.
Let's hope they don't get over the sea then.
I will send word to Seameat and the other coastal cities and towns to be on the watch.
Thank you.
Controlling the undead on a ship, though, would be no mean feat.
Well, that's completely over my head, so I'm just going to go outside and hit something with a hammer again, if you don't mind.
The Cooper is waiting.
Yeah, but he keeps hitting back.
Yes, he does enjoy a good scrap, does our Cooper?
He does. Pip.
Cool. For my last 2 tasks, I would be throughout the 2 weeks, the constant would be scrying on Vraco to make sure that he's okay. And I would also, every 3 nights or so, I would be casting sending to him to make sure that he is still that he's okay, and any information that he can give us from where he is would be also very helpful. But mostly telling him to keep a low profile.
Cool. In the scrying, over the period, eventually you can see Vraco beginning to deteriorate. and I mean quite literally deteriorate. The vibrant blue of his scales begins to become dull. The skin almost begins to draw inward, and it looks like he's just beginning to waste away. Now, upon communicating with Vraco, the messages you get back start off somewhat lucid, but then become more broken, more difficult to really decipher. But from what you understand, he is not being visited in any way. There is nobody tending to him, but in the same way, there is no food. What sustenance he manages to get, he is having to use his abilities to call. They are all around him, is a message that comes through. And in his state, he cannot seek to escape on his own.
Okay.
The final message that you get ends with, "Something is killing me."
Okay. I try my darnest not to tell him that we're coming, because I don't want to. I don't know how this works. I don't want to be intercepted or something. But I kind of keep telling him to hold on and to fight through, and whatever. If he has any dedication to anyone in the pantheon, to just hold on to that hope. Yeah. And finally,
you scrying him one final time. As you scrying him one final time, even though he's wasting away, and with that message you send him, you can see him clutching at his chest and his hand over the symbol on his armour, which is a circle with lightning bolts crossed.
Nice. Cool. Finally, this would be on the night before, so the last night, really. Yeah. Thank you. On the last evening, just before I went to sleep, I would set up my mirror and I would attempt to scry on the Eladrin.
Ooh.
Oh, he's got his big boy pants on.
As you lay your mirror down and begin to cast scrying, lines of purple begin to form around the mirror and into the glass, and they sort of collect in the centre, and then nothing happens.
Cool. Nice. Yeah. That would very much be... Oh, no, one more thing. Sorry. Halfway through the period, I would set out my 4 strips of ivory, or 3 strips of ivory. I would light up a fair amount of incense, about 500 gold pieces worth.
Damn.
Fucking hell.
And I would focus in on the statue that we saw in the forest where we fought Dargon, and I would cast Legend Lore on it.
I can just imagine our house, and there's just like, poof, and just smoke comes out, and Dargon comes out like.
You just walk in, and it's just, you can't see past 5 feet of you.
I think over the week it's just been like purple flash, gold flash, purple flash, gold flash, smoke. Been like a fucking disco for the last fortnight. However, As you, in particular, Kirik, cast Legend Lore, as opposed to sort of reaching into the ether and trying to draw information out, a spirit forms before you out of the smoke of the incense. And it's difficult to discern any features other than that it is a vaguely humanoid spirit with eyes and a mouth. And as you concentrate on the spell and draw the focus in and begin to really focus in on the statue and formulate your concentration on exactly what you want to know, the spirit's mouth opens, and the words it speaks are thus: "Long have the servants of the Chained One dwindled. Their idols and temples left to ruin, while the chained star remains banished from the world." As everybody in the party furiously writes a shit ton of notes.
Yeah. Legend Lore.
And with that, the spirit sort of almost like spirals into dust, and it settles, and the smoke from the incense just rises again.
D&D version of a WikiLeak.
Yeah.
So Kirik is Julian Assange, is he?
I guess so in this scenario. Cool. Yeah, nice. That would be my 2 weeks.
Good stuff. So
I mean, I'd
Kirik
say
has a lot of
bookworm, apart
fun.
from the fact that you picked a fight with a Goliath, so...
Very much. Very much.
Kirik uncovers a lot of information, spends time training, reads his book, but ultimately discovers the things he wanted to discover. And also begins to understand a little bit around probably those opponents where he wasn't able to get some information. Doggone.
Yikes.
We'll come to you. So we already know that you spend a significant amount of time training with the Cooper. And a lot of that time is just spent on basic fighting technique, improving your skills, but also improving your fitness. But in doing so, trying to harness your mind a little bit more. That was cool.
Anything else?
I like it a lot. And the way the Cooper teaches you and the way he instructs you is very much not just around brute strength, but is about outthinking your enemies and how to use your mental capacity to understand a battlefield, how to understand a fight, and how to turn battles in your favour to where you want them to go. As he fights you, and you begin to become a bit more ferocious between the two of you, and you start to unleash the full extent of your abilities and your powers, you using the powers of Palor imbued within you, you can see every now and again, as he takes out his greatsword, he bangs the hilt against his chest, where you see that insignia of a silver dragon, or a metallic dragon of sorts. And in doing so, he almost seems to fuel himself with something and is able to come at you once more and again and again. And the battles weary you both. And it is quite clear that the Cooper is a spectacular and superior fighter, understanding battle tactics. And what you learn from him is quite simply immense. And your understanding of fights does improve. However, during that time, you also ask him to help you focus on a new ability. And using that improved fitness, improved mental capacity, to really help you control the beast that now lays within. And in doing so, you not only train with the Cooper, but you also, during those battles where you try to call the beast, you attempt to call on that power within you, not just the beast, but the other power that lays within you. And I'm going to ask you to make me a religion check, please.
Ooh. Check what?
With
religion.
advantage, I should say, for this one.
Thank you all. Yeah, there it is. It's a 13.
So you feel the golden warmth within you as you attempt to control this change and channel the beast within you. Make me a wisdom saving throw, please.
Yeah, okay. Where is it? There. Great. That's a 2.
So with that first attempt to try and control the beast, it totally goes out of hand, and you just transform once again into the brown, I think we said brown bear last time.
Yeah.
Brown bear. Into
Brown
that
black
form, shredding some clothes, having chosen this moment to take off your armour, and just in case this happened, you transform into the bear, and even in bear form, the Cooper bests you, and eventually gets you into a headlock, holding your claws away, just telling you to calm down, urging you to calm down, and eventually the rage subsides and the form subsides, and you return to Dargon once more. And the Cooper indicates that is it for the day.
I'm sorry, Cooper. I didn't hurt you. Hey then.
Not at all. We will best this beast together. Remember, it is not just your strength. It is your mind. Wax on, wax off. Had to get it in there.
Yeah.
Focus on not the beast, but what you want the beast to do.
I shall meditate tonight.
Do not let the beast control you. You must control it. Eventually, Dargon, we will get there.
Thank you, Cooper. Couldn't do this without you.
I agreed to this task. We shall see it through. So you head back that evening, and amongst all the other tasks that we will discuss shortly, you do then attempt to meditate on it. Make me another religion check with advantage, please.
Cool. What's my modifier? Because I've already forgotten it. It's a 17.
This time, you manage to reach out and latch onto that golden warmth which fills you. And not the voice of Palor, but the voice of Timael speaks into your mind. And so, Dargon, it comes to this. You are almost ready. You know what must be done. I am with you, for it has been decided that I am your guide. What Palor wills,
I'm ever so grateful to Timael.
as am I, for purpose once more. Train hard. Focus. What power I have is with you. And that warmth fades and draws away. But even though it draws away, now that Timael has revealed him being the source of your power, you can always feel that connection to him. There is something that changes now. You return the following morning, train with the Cooper some more, just general battle tactics, fighting training, beginning to spar a little bit more. And then he turns, throws his greatsword to the side. It is now or never, Dargon. Control the beast. You take off your armor, you drop your weapons, you turn to face him. Make me a wisdom saving throw, please.
Why does it have to be a plus naught? 13.
This time, you feel the beast rise, and it's almost like the bear form is trying to rip its way out of your body. But that golden warmth, that connection, you focus in on that, and you beat that bestial fury back. And as you channel now that feeling, your limbs begin to grow, you can feel your face change and a snout begin to form, but you stay standing. And rather than brown fur this time, white, almost like that of a polar bear, but with flecks of grey, you stand half Goliath, half bear, and you let out a roar that is pure Dargon in nature. As you control the beast for the first time, and are able to communicate with the Cooper. But before you can even speak, the Cooper dives towards you, and the fight ensues. You using the claws, but being very careful not to bite. Something in your brain, something in your mind just telling you, do not bite. As the battle continues, the fight continues, and the two of you sort of go at each other and punches fly. Eventually, the Cooper smirks, turns, dashes, grabs his greatsword, lifts it in front of him, bangs the hilt against the symbol of the dragon. You can see almost like this silvery energy flow through him. What are you doing?
So if I understand this correctly, I should be able to then cast my hand out to the side. My warhammer slams into my hand.
Very much so.
So it's on, Cooper. And
the voice of Dargon comes out with slightly more growl to it. And the Cooper turns. So it is. And he charges.
And I let out a tremendous roar. And this sort of wave of, energy comes out from that roar. And it hopefully will scare a number of people in that area.
You instantly see a number of guards who were fighting and training turn, drop their weapons, and almost like a cartoon, they are gone. And some of them sort of peek their heads over as the Cooper charges towards you, greatsword in his hand, swings it overhead, brings it down. Make me a strength saving throw, please.
That's just my strength bonus, isn't it?
Remember, you're in hybrid form.
Yep. Trying to remember what that is now. What was my bonus? I just got to have a look.
I think it should be a +1 to whatever you've got.
We'll just double check this.
So remember, it is the Goliath werebear that you need to be looking at.
Yeah, if I'm looking at the right one, I have no idea.
So your strength will be 20 now.
Oh, hell. What's my plus to that,
in
though?
hybrid form. That will be a +5.
+5. Okay, as I've got that one. Lovely, 17.
17. As the Cooper strikes down, you lift your warhammer single-handedly and you catch the great sword, and you can feel the strength of the Cooper bearing down on you, but you just hold it there. And eventually the Cooper lifts the great sword, turns it, strikes it into the ground. I think we are done, Dargon.
Thank you, Cooper. Thank you.
Might I say, I like the new colour. White.
Yeah.
Certainly suits you.
Yeah, it does not suit me better. And with that, I would also attempt to change back.
Make me a wisdom saving throw with advantage, please.
That'll be a 10.
With advantage.
Yeah, 6 and an 8.
So you sort of call upon that energy and just nothing quite happens. You're still in this half man, half Goliath, half bear form. And the Cooper then leans in. Performance anxiety?
First time and all that.
Well, we all struggle with the first time. I'm sure your rogue friend can attest to that one.
I don't think he can remember his first time. Sorry, Danny, I knew.
Thinking on that, can I remember? Anyway, we digress. Focus, Dargon. Just focus on yourself. Let the beast go.
I close my eyes, breathe, and try again.
And this time as you try again and you breathe, and with that out breath you can just feel the tension go. The beast itself recedes inside of you. The golden warmth, the golden warmth inside you, that connection with Timael almost flows within you. And once again you are Dargon. Still with kilt, or whatever skirt type kilt item it is that Dargon wears. Warhammer still in hand. And at this point the Cooper holds out a hand.
I clasp it.
And he clasps you by the wrist. Well met, my Goliath friend. You are going to be something to behold on the battlefield. I look forward to the day you and I join in battle and defeat whatever foes we must face together.
I truly feel sorry for whoever we go up against, Cooper, because, my goodness me, I would like you by my side.
If Bahamut permits it, then I will be there. And so your 2 weeks' worth of training with the Cooper ends, and you feel a distinct connection now, not only to that power within that comes from Paylor, but now being channeled through Timael, but also that connection to the beast, and you begin to understand the beast inside a little bit more, how to control it, how to transform, how to bring out those natures that you need to, when you need to.
And with some of that learning of the werebear in the hybrid form, I then also do learn these few other things that I can imbue at other times.
Okay.
I would also
say, in terms of game mechanic, I am going to have to work out how many times you can change per day.
I also don't actually know. I know I did it on that one because I wanted to. You will have to also decide whether I can do anything else in hybrid form. I like spells, so...
Okay, I'll have a think.
Have a think on that one.
I will work that one out.
Yep.
I will make a note as we speak.
So, after the first meditation and realising that then I spoke to Timael, I would then like to meditate further just to try and connect with him further, and also to thank him for the help, especially after seeing the first change that I had.
Make me a religion check with advantage, please, mate.
Lovely. Ooh. Too many windows open.
I'm going to change that.
Yep.
Pause.
Go on.
I am going to ask you to make me a charisma religion check.
What do I... yeah. Hang on.
So, if you are proficient in religion, take your proficiency bonus, but otherwise add your charisma modifier as opposed to your intelligence modifier.
Okay, cool. Same difference.
Okay.
Because I'm not proficient either. So that is still an 18.
It's still an 18, so
Yeah.
it doesn't take you long to reach out. And the voice of Timael fills your mind once again. What can I do for you, Dargon?
I'd just like to say I'm very grateful for the help you've given me with my recent change, and also I'm very grateful to you and Paylor that you are to be my guide. I also wonder whether there is a way in which I can help me guide myself through these dark times ahead. With your assistance, of course.
Perhaps there is. There can always be more of a physical guide. You only have to call out to it to find it. Find something familiar to yourself.
I can do it.
Don't laugh when I'm... Yeah. We're going to keep it there. There are many a being, many a creature, many a magic, many a force that can guide you where you need. You have but to ask. My power flows through you now. With that power comes many advantages. And I want to know how many people thought I was going to say many responsibilities.
already got a hand up there. So I would say that I would then presumably go off to then learn about how I would do said instruction.
Rather than you go away and learn, what you now feel is a loose connection to something. And that loose connection draws you towards the temple. And as you enter the temple, all you can think to do is to sit at the altar, if you like, of Paylor and just focus in on that feeling. And as you focus in on that feeling, and I randomly scramble around to find the right spell, the golden warmth once again fills you, and you spend an hour sitting, trying to understand that, and eventually sound, a form begins to shape in your mind. And then there is this golden flash from the altar itself as you finally see the form, hear the sounds it makes, and from that golden flash there is a swoop, and you instinctively hold your arm up as a giant grey owl, or a great grey owl, lands upon your arm and bows its head towards you, closes its great yellow eyes.
And out of nowhere, not quite knowing how I know this, I speak to the owl and say, Azazel, I'm sure we will become firm friends.
And the great grey owl sort of ruffles up its feathers, stretches its neck, spreads its wings, flaps once, twice, and then hops up your arm and onto your shoulder. And as you now turn, there are a number of priests within the sort of area, dressed in that sort of golden garb, the goldish robes, sort of more ochre robes, if you like, who are turned and are just like...
Yeah. Wasn't expecting it either. But, hey.
You are blessed.
Very grateful to be. Absentmindedly just sort of, rustling the feathers on the owl. Let's get you out into the woods and see how we get on.
Cool. So you now have a nice little familiar on your shoulder.
I do. Hey.
As for those that hadn't figured that out yet, we have just cast the Find Familiar spell.
Yeah.
Now, what else was it you wished to do during your downtime, so to speak, during this 2-week period?
The other time would then be a time either speaking with Kirik and Andrew if he's around. So that would be another thing that I would do when we were either any time we're communicating or just some downtime. So,
cool.
If we find if that's a time that Andrew will be there or not.
Andrew is gone for the whole 2 weeks. The only time you managed to communicate with him, you managed to do so through the mirror, and it is actually Andrew that reaches back to you somehow. The other thing that I think you asked to do,
yes,
was to read the book.
Yes, you are right. It was to read as much of the book as possible.
So roll me 3d10, please.
Ooh, I've got to get me T10s out. Hang on. There's one of them. And one of them. And one of them. Oh, nice. Oh, you wouldn't believe it, but it's a... Oh, no. I thought it was going to be the same number as you somehow. No, it's 18.
18. So you managed to complete 18 hours
Cool.
worth of this book.
Let's put that down.
And you begin to understand more about warlocks, their power. You begin to read more into patrons, and as you read into that, and as the changes take place between yourself and Timiel, you begin to understand more now that even though it is the power of Palor that flows through you, Timiel is actually your patron. And you begin to understand that a little bit more. You also then use that to help you with that Find Familiar spell, that it's that knowledge that you read that helps fuel that connection and help you understand that connection and draw on that connection. And you're about to say something, so crack on.
Yeah, so I do then go to Mephisto's to get the relevant items so that I could do it again if needs be. And also either at Mephisto's or asking around where I might be able to do it, I'd like to then embellish because I haven't told you about this, Matt, but it should be all right. Just put a symbol on the front of the armor. Just somehow, because I know that I've got it on my chest, but actually to then get it on the armor as well.
So you want the symbol of Palor on your armor?
Yeah, somehow.
So you find a local smith, and they look at your mithril plate armor, I think it is.
Yep.
Quickly checks the
I
character
think it is
sheets.
plate, because if it's not, ignore everything I've just said.
It is mithril plate armor.
Yeah.
And they look at it. It'll take a lot of work, but I think I can do it.
Either
if you be having the gold.
Either that or just some sort of leather over the front with the symbol in it.
Well, what you be wanting? Do you want the symbol in the plate, or
Let's
do you
talk
want
pennies. What's it going to be for each?
Well, it's more expensive for the gold. As the cold hits in and my accent goes straight out the window. In terms of brass tacks, after negotiating and stuff, if you just want a simple leather sort of almost weave through it, then it's going to be a case of like 2 gold, but it will not look particularly great. Alternatively, if you wish him to somehow form the symbol of Palor in there, he reckons he can do it with a little bit of metal. It's not going to affect the mithril underneath. It'll just be sort of almost melted onto and welded onto the mithril plate itself.
Cool. I'll do the second one.
That will probably be about 40 gold.
Lovely. 40 gold done.
And you return
An extra 5 gold to
a couple
rush
of
it.
days later. You return 2 days later to find that he's actually managed to do it in a brass, which resembles the colour of Palor's sort of symbols as well. And it's not a perfect brand, so to speak, but what you get is this brass inlay of a ring and then the points of the stars that come out, and it shows perfectly that symbol of Palor.
Yeah, cool. So, going back, and as I say, I think we said that Ander would be there, sort of through the mirror, so to speak.
One night only.
One night only, yeah.
Ander is there in the mirror.
So,
I'm looking at the man in the mirror. Is that copyright? I've done too much. We're all right.
Yeah.
We're okay.
so it's all right. Well, it wasn't any more than 2 bars. It's fine. So, thinking about it, guys. Where we're heading, we're pretty sure we know that it's going to be quite a lot of undead. And I've got this lovely mithril armour. But I also had my other armour that did help me in those certain situations. But unfortunately, I could get hit quite a lot easier. And I'm buggered if I can figure out which one I want to do. I also may not get the abilities and the benefits from my other armour without foregoing some of the other stuff that I already have. How important do you think it is? How much are we going to go up against the proper undead type of damage?
I expect it to be quite a lot, but so I was thinking that when I last saw Vraco, he did not have any armor on, so whatever you end up not using could be something that we could perhaps give him when we meet him.
Maybe we try and give him the best protection as possible, and give him my other armor, so that he can resist as much as goes against him as soon as we find him. Maybe that's an idea.
That's probably.
Yeah.
I will be probably packing something to protect him as well.
Yeah.
in terms of magic, but any little bit helps, I suppose.
Yeah. It may take him a bit of time for the armour to take effect. But armour's better than armour, I suppose.
Indeed.
I think I will risk it by being a little harder to hit, a little more well protected. What do you think, Ander?
Am I here for this one?
You decide.
You are in the mirror. This is the one night you are on the mirror.
Okay. Do I know that you've mastered the bear yet? Or did that happen after this? Because we've time jumped a bit. It's like a Quentin Tarantino film, this.
Yeah.
We will assume for the sake of this that this mirror communication occurs towards the end of the second week. So yes, Dargon will have mastered the bear. The owl will not be there just yet.
Hedwig, okay. So, does the question of armour even become a question when you're a bear?
I believe in hybrid form I can still wear everything.
Okay.
Impressive.
So does that offer you extra protection? So it doesn't really matter what armour you have.
Sorry, to correct that. Your armour will not take or not have the same effect in terms of AC when you're in hybrid or bear form.
I knew it wasn't bear form, but I thought you still kept it in hybrid. So...
Because you are still growing slightly.
Okay.
Could you keep...
Otherwise it's going to be OP as fuck.
I'm just trying to look here, actually. My stats other than size and AC don't change in shape changer form.
That's natural AC.
But I can still wear armour though, can't I?
Right.
Come back to that.
You are going from Goliath to bear. Your armour is not going to have effect. Trust me. Right, just take it. This is the
That's
DM's
fine.
rule.
It's your DM's rule, it's fine.
This is how it's going to be.
Yeah.
So, if you turn into a bear...
Don't have any armour anyway. Yeah.
I suppose that's another consideration to make, is whether you choose bear over armour.
What would we say about, then, armour that I would be attuned to? Would I have to attune to it after shape changing?
No.
Right.
So your attunement, so any of your item attunements will not change whether you shape change or not.
Cool.
It's just that the armor will not have the same effect.
Yeah.
Because it will not be... View it like this. As you grow, the armor is not going to be as form-fitting as it is, so it's not going to protect all the areas.
Yeah, that makes sense.
There will be more gaps for people to strike into. Thus, your AC will come back down.
Cool.
So it
makes sense.
A Princess Leia bikini.
Yeah. Yeah, just a plate mail around here. Got a crop top on.
God rest her soul.
Oh man. Right. Okay, that makes sense. And yeah, so yeah, I still think it's probably just going to stick with the normal armor, to be honest, guys. I've still got time to think about it.
I do like the idea of actually giving it to Vraco to protect him. I mean, I'd wear it myself if I could, but I would not be able to move.
Yeah.
Just to clarify a rule there. So on that shape change a bit, it says your statistics other than size and AC are the same in each form.
You're right, I got that the wrong way around.
So there you
go. Yeah.
So it's your size and AC that will change. Your hit points will not change.
Yeah.
And any other statistics. So the
What
the
would
rest of the
okay? What? Sorry,
statistics
what's
will
my natural armor class then? As a
take your armor off and find out.
Exactly
10
the
plus
same as what this.
dexterity.
It's
Yeah.
10 plus
Just don't
dex.
equip it.
What we're saying is in shape changer, that's what I'm going to be. So less armor, without my armor, basically.
Yeah, so
Yep.
Easier to hit.
with the Goliath werebear stats,
Yeah.
under armor class, take what it says for natural armor in bear or hybrid form.
Yeah. Cool. Same as what I've got, so that's all right. But I
Anything
could
in
still hold a
humanoid
shield.
form, you can still hold your shield,
Cool. Sweet.
only in hybrid form. If you're in bear form,
Yeah,
not
yeah,
fucking
and
with it.
and I can't even use weapons and stuff with that one, so that's fine.
I mean, we could strap a shield to you, so you look like a bear turtle.
Onto his arse, yeah.
Yeah, cool. So that's all I wanted to talk about, really. So that's good actually having that discussion. I'll keep
Cool.
it for Vraco as soon as we find him.
Good stuff. So, we then move to Mr. Hornraven, who in that ending conversation with the Maltmasters at the beginning of the fortnightly period, or the fortnight period, I should say, you take the distiller aside, having formed something of a amicable relationship with her. And what is it you wish to say to her?
I'm going on a 2-week all-inclusive holiday to Cancun.
For those that have not
No.
been on a 2-week all-inclusive holiday to Cancun, I can highly recommend it, having done so for my honeymoon, and it was amazing.
Spring break, bitches! Yeah, so I would like to ask the distiller if it's possible for her to potentially teleport me or transport me the way that Ethereal did us, because I would like to visit Moonbright and spend some time studying at their bardic college.
So in the time you've been in the Maltmaster's Keep in Glentoag, you have studied a little bit more around bards themselves. You've discovered
Oh yeah, I
that
found that out from the
Moonbright
library, yeah.
holds a collection of colleges. There is almost like a bardic university within Moonbright, with each of the colleges set out. And so you make the request, and she looks and says, well, we could use you here to plan, but I suppose I understand that you have the time, and yes, I suppose it would probably do you good to go and hone your skills. If I may ask, which college is it that you wish to visit?
After extensive research in your library, I have chosen College of Eloquence. You could have guessed that, really. Being the
Well,
eloquent
yes,
man
I
I
suppose
am.
it does make sense. Very well. We do have a circle that will take you to Moonbright. They are our closest trade partner after all. You will need to make your way down to the grotto, though. That is where our teleportation takes place. I will join you there in the morning. I will cast the spell myself. I would rather see you there
Obliged.
safely. When you get to the college, the university, seek out Mistress Mandola.
Ooh.
She will be the one to, well, I suppose see if you are worthy first, but then educate you in the ways of eloquence, as you so fittingly put.
Thank you as always.
And so you go about your sort of ways for the evening. Based on conversations that have been had, I'm going to assume you forget to tell the rest of your party where you're going. But early the next morning you are up, you make your way through to the grotto, you go through the Maltmaster's Keep, find the door, and enter into that familiar cavern where there is that raised stone platform, and the distiller is already waiting for you. I have drawn the necessary runes. Please stand. Or rather, I always find kneeling, at least one knee, to be a more sensible way to travel.
I will do the kneel that Terminator does when he lands, coming back from the future. Obviously, I'll have my clothes on.
That is exactly what I was thinking. As the runes then light up, and you can see she holds her book in her hand, and she has her hand, the other hand, cast over the top. As her eyes then open, and this blue, it's almost like fire, just surrounds her eyes. As she is speaking words you do not understand, the runes themselves light up one by one by one by one, and then this blue, almost fire-like dome rises up around you, and then and then vision returns to you as the fire just and you find yourself on a similar raised stone platform, this time in the centre of some old but quite almost regal looking buildings. And as you rise, there is a lone figure stood waiting, quite elderly, long greyish silver hair, quite a few wrinkles, and she looks down on you. So, you must be this Ander I am told so much about.
Yes, I have come to see if I am worthy.
Well, let us check, shall we? Follow me.
Can I assume you to be the mistress?
I am Mistress Mandola, that is correct. Your distiller sent word last night that you would be joining us for a 2-week period, I am led to believe. Not nearly enough time to study everything, but if you fit the bill, not very eloquent of me at all, if you fit your purpose, then I think we can certainly evoke certain talents from you.
I think you'll find I'm a quick study.
Let us hope so. This will not be easy. You will have to study late into the night as well. Not much rest.
Challenge accepted.
Very well. Follow me then, Ender, follow me. And she has quite a lively step to her. Almost as if she's dancing as she makes her way towards one of the rather tall, regal-looking buildings. And as you enter, there are numerous other... You can only assume they are students who have books, and each of them, as you go through, are either reciting prose to each other or acting out various scenarios, debating in some manner. You even find one chamber where a mass debate is going... Sorry, I had to make that joke. A large debate is taking place, but she leads you off down a corridor, down to the side of a room, and you can see that on a plaque on the front of the door it reads Mistress Mafalda, Headmistress. And she opens the door, leaves it open for you, but then goes and sits behind a desk, just sort of brings her fingers together. Please come in. Sit.
I should do as she says. I'm trying to be very polite, can you tell?
So, Ander, a life before you, I can certainly tell you've had. Why is it you think to come to my college? Why not one of the others? I see you have swords. Perhaps the College of Swords.
I'm not going to lie to you. The College of Swords probably would have been one of my earlier choices, but recent events and a unforeseen curse from a sword has kind of made me a bit wary and has actually put me off swords, so I only use them as and when is kind of a last resort. My trusty bow is now my favoured weapon, and I like to keep a distance. I've always been a bit of a charmer, and I've always had a way with words, being a bit of a con man in a previous life. Don't judge. So I think
Weren't we all?
I could put those skills to better use under your tutelage, of course.
Very well, I am certainly not one to judge anybody on their past. If you seek to learn with us, then that is all I ask. You have already the necessary skills to undertake that which you see fit. However, I think, based on your rank and the time you are with us, I think it perhaps best that you and I do this on a one-to-one basis. The classes themselves probably a little too slow for what you are aiming to achieve.
Well, for that crash course it is.
Very well. I will have a dorm room prepared for you. I suggest you settle in, and then in 2 hours' time, return here, and we shall begin.
Okay.
I will also, towards the end of the 2 weeks, it seems only fitting you reach back to your allies and discuss with them not only what you have learned, but what they have learned, as the distiller tells me you are planning a trip, and it is important you all know what each other has done, for that is the purpose of planning, is it not?
Yes. And what I would actually do is in. Go on.
No.
I was just going to say, in that 2 hours, once you told me to go settle in, I was going to tell Dargon where I am with the Sending Stone anyway, so he knows.
Cool.
Because I left pretty early.
So at some point, Dargon, you wake and Anders nowhere to be seen, but then the stone sort of almost vibrates on your side, and you clasp it, and then you hear the voice of Ander in your mind as he explains where he is, saying he's gone to Moonbright. This is what he's aiming to do, all in 25 words. But for the sake of brevity, we will not go down that route of trying to get
do 25
Danny to figure out 25
words per round, though, couldn't he?
I have gone to Moonbright. I am doing intense training. Will come back a better man. All the best.
There we go. Job done.
He's gone to Moonbright for a wank, Eric.
Yeah.
I mean, you could use the garden, really.
Yeah.
Bothrid turns.
Bothrid called me
no,
too many times. Not allowed.
Not in my garden.
It was
Garden
a joke.
wank-free zone. There we go. I've broken somehow.
What a lie. Oh, D&D's weird. D&D's weird.
No, D&D with you guys gets weird. Which is why I love it. Cool. So, Danny, I need you to make me 4 separate charisma saving throws, please.
Oh, great start. A 3.
Okay.
Definitely his charisma as he's frozen.
2.
That was amazing. Is he there?
I'm back.
The connection to Moonbright's cutting in and out.
I'm back.
You're almost there. There we go.
Refresh again. Am I back?
You are back now. Go for it.
Yeah, you are.
Second roll.
So, the first one was a 3, second one was a 14, third one was an 18. I'm obviously getting better. This one will be a 20. You ready? Okay, 16. Oversold it.
Okay. The training is not what you were expecting. It is much more reading. It is quite arduous as well, as the headmistress gets you to recite a number of tongue twisters, but in doing so she also asks you to focus on certain abilities and certain powers within yourself as you recite these words, and eventually you feel yourself becoming more attuned to the tongue twisters and the poems and the various writings that she asks you to read out. And towards the end of the second week, she then sets a number of tasks to you. She asks you to first go and try and persuade somebody to give you food from the kitchens, even though students are strictly forbidden food except at meal times. Secondly, she asks you to go and try and get an item for free from the market. Thirdly, you are to find a altercation of sorts and use your words to settle both parties in the altercation. And then finally, you are to gain entry to one of the other colleges using your words and words alone. Which other college would you like to have tried to get entry to?
The College of Glamour. So I think that might be the hardest one.
So, the first task, you fail totally, and you report back to her, and in explaining your failures, she turns and sort of says, "Well, I did not say it would be easy. As I have tried to teach you for this last week and a half, you must focus not only on the words, but on the power within. It is only that which will see you towards success. Do you understand this, Ander, now?"
I think I do, yes. I think I was taking it too much on face value. I must focus more inside myself.
Well, I'm sure the kitchen will provide you some food at the designated meal times. I would not try that task again. However, the other three are now laid before you. On you go. Report back when you have completed the three of them. And so, you go to the market, and there are various stalls set out. There are herbalist stores, there's an apothecary. You remember from your time before there being various shops, but actually out in the middle of sort of this trade quarter, if you want to call it that, there are a number of just market stalls. There's some selling meats, fishes, vegetables, trinkets, various different stalls. What would you like to try and get for free?
Being quite bitter that I didn't get food from the kitchen, I'm going to try and get some free food from the market.
Okay, so you head over to... Do you want to do the vegetables, or do you want to do the meats and fishes? Fish.
Fish. Yeah.
So you head over to the stall where there are a great deal of fish sort of hanging from around him, and you just hear the man, "Fresh fish! Fresh fish!" Aimed, please.
Good afternoon, good fellow. I am collecting donations for the charity that I work for that help homeless and poor children find loving homes, but in the meantime they reside in foster care, and they do, unfortunately, we don't have the resources to feed them all, so I was hoping you would kindly be able to donate a meal for a child tonight.
Oh, underprivileged kids. How much do you want?
2 of your lovely fish would do fine. The big ones.
Two more. Take 3. Feed the kids. As he hands over 3 of the larger fish, sort of wraps them up ready for you. Sorry, do you want them filleting?
Yes, that'd be lovely. Thank you for the offer. That'll save our cook a bit of time. She's not very good.
He unwraps them, brings out a big fish knife, fillets them, wraps them back up. There you go, son. There you go. Look after those kids, yeah?
Much obliged. Your charity will not go unnoticed.
You just let them know where you got it from. Fresh fish. Fresh fish.
I like this character voice. He needs to come up in every town.
So you complete the second task and report back to the headmistress, who sort of politely applauds. Well done. Well, on you go. Next.
Oh, okay. Next question.
So you exit. And it takes you a good few hours to find any altercation of any sort. But then eventually you think, where are people more than likely to get into a fight?
Tavern.
A tavern. There we go. Straight on it. So you head to the nearest tavern. And you stay there for some hours. And eventually night falls. And the patrons all begin to get a little bit drunk. And you can see there are a group of individuals all chiming for the attentions of one rather attractive elven female. The elven female herself actually works in the bar. And she, being quite used to this, just sort of brushes the attentions off. But eventually 2 of the patrons themselves get into a bit of a bust-up as one tries to talk to her and the other one sort of shoves off. Oi, I was chatting first. Fuck off. Do you think you're doing, Sonny? Don't you fucking chin up to me. And eventually this just turns into incoherent tirade of abuse, and it looks about like fists are about to fly.
Is there a bard already playing in this tavern? Is there any music? In that case, I will stand on my table and start playing a merry old jig to hopefully distract the drunken people from their fight and get people dancing.
And what is it you want to say in between sort of bars, in between melodies?
The title of the song is She Doesn't Swing That Way Anyway, and it'll be about the barmaid not liking men, and she's of a different persuasion, so you're wasting your time. Let's have a dance. Let's have a good old knees up. Bit of a barn dance type tune. As much as you can do that.
And as you begin to play, and the 2 individuals sort of hold each other by the throats, fists up, turn, listen to the song. It's funny as this one. More ale. And the barmaid brings more ale out. And as she places a flagon of ale at your feet as you sort of play on top of the table, she bows, gives you a subtle wink, and then continues about her duties. It is at this point, as you turn around the room, you see a figure in the corner of the room, sipping on a very delicate cup of wine, and she holds it up and bows her head, and you recognise now the headmistress has been watching.
Ooh, sneaky bugger. Alright. 2 out of 3.
So you play into the night, and return to the dorm a little bit worse for wear. You also get the details from said elven barmaid, where she lives, and how to contact her should you wish to.
Oh, I don't need another wife, but all right.
And the morning dawns and you feel significantly thick-headed, but you know that today is the day you must return to the Maltmaster's Keep. And your final challenge is before you. You having decided that the College of Glamour is the college that you are going to attempt to seek entry into. And now understanding the layout of the university itself, the Bardic University, you make your way towards the College of Glamour. And there's nobody outside. So you wrap across on the along the door. And a figure in a deep hooded robe, can't quite see the features, answers the door. Yes?
Right. Now I just got to make sure I've picked the college I think I've chosen. As he frantically looks at the... Yes, he does. Right. I picked the right one. So, I will say in Sylvan, as confident as I could possibly say it, good afternoon. You've been expecting me.
And there is a moment where the figure is silent. And two hands sort of come out and clasp together. And in Sylvan, have we? Well, there is certainly something of the Fae about you. Perhaps. But then who are you? And why are we expecting you?
I'm here to teach the class you asked me to teach. I'm the guest lecturer for this week.
Make me a persuasion check with advantage, please.
Oh, I haven't earned me Bardic College to use the... No, I won't. So I can add something to one of those sort of checks. But I've not technically got my college powers yet, so I won't.
No, take it.
Okay, so...
47.
When I make a persuasion or a deception check, I can't roll lower than a 10, basically. So it is a 13 altogether.
I did not realise we were expecting someone this week. Please do wait, and I shall return.
I can wait inside if you like.
Please. And they invite you into a side chamber where you sit. And they disappear off to investigate. And it is at this point that you hear a familiar voice in your mind. Ander, why are you deceiving those that serve us?
It's only a little white lie amongst friends for me to better myself, to better serve you, and the quest I'm on. I mean no malice in it. Please don't take offence.
If it sees you through, perhaps I may help.
Your help is always welcome.
Very well. You perhaps are best off just waiting. But almost in the air there is a scent of trees, or the oak tree that you are familiar with. Freshly cut grass, and there is a breeze that blows around, and as that breeze sort of dies out, the figure returns. Ah, yes. We were not expecting you till tomorrow. Would you like to wait inside the college and we can have a room made? We can have your room prepared early. Alternatively, you may wish to explore the city, and we will welcome you in tomorrow.
Yes, that'll be fine. I would love to explore the city, and I shall be back when my room is ready.
Very well. It is a pleasure to meet you, Master of the Summer Grove. We look forward to your teachings.
Blessed day.
Indeed. And the figure bows, turns, and you exit the college. And as you exit the college, you see the figure stood beside the raised stone platform. Well, successes almost all round. There is little else I can teach you in these 2 weeks. But know this. You are one of the finest students I have taught this many a day. Do return to us when you have time. Much more there is for you to discover, for you to learn.
You have been one of the finest teachers I have ever had. If I survive my next challenge, we shall meet again.
And thus my teachings show themselves in your flattery. It is appreciated. And she places a hand on your shoulder and looks up, and you can see sort of the age in her eyes. Do be careful in your quests. Know your power. Know the power that there is in the spoken word. And with that, I will allow you to add the actor feat to your character sheet.
Ooh! How the fuck do I do that? I'll sort it out.
Go to features and traits, click feats, click manage feats.
I found it.
Damn.
And then just select the actor.
I'm going to have to talk like Hugh Grant all the time now.
Well, I don't know if it would be possible to, let's say, perhaps.
Especially when I get caught with a prostitute.
Bollocks.
That's a very up-to-date cultural reference for everyone there.
As you will see him in Death of 2020. It was
Whoopsie.
brilliant.
Oh dear. So during those 2
I
weeks
see
as
what
well,
you've done. Sorry.
it's almost like I've planned this,
That's
mate.
right. No.
You ask, the DM delivers. So, during those 2 weeks as well, you wished to study the Book of Song. So roll me 3d10, please.
Yeah, I was going to ask, because with her saying it's been an intensive course, I didn't know how much actual downtime I'd get, but
No,
let's roll
you've had enough
3d10.
downtime to at least read these little bits. You've done no more or less than the other two have been up to.
13.
13. So you managed to succeed in reading 13 hours worth of this book and study the melodies, study the songs, and you begin to ingrain at least the first couple to memory. Not quite as much as you would have liked, but then you have been learning a lot and trying to understand. But you now begin to understand some of the songs actually relate to the early histories of Nylin as well. And there is a particular song right at the beginning of the book around Geth the Almighty, Geth the Lightbringer, Geth the True King, all in a single song.
Geth the Almighty, Geth the Lightbringer, Geth The only king.
Gareth the true king, yeah.
For the love of God, don't think it's Girth.
Girth, yeah, don't say Girth.
Well, I've had
Girth
to. I've
the
wrote it with an
Almighty.
E. I mean, you've done that on purpose. You've lined that up for me to knock it down there, really.
Song about
Good
Girth.
stuff. And thus ends our 2 weeks as the two... so our cleric and fighter are training, and you step onto the raised stone platform and kneel once more, and this time the headmistress, rather than say anything, just simply turns and walks back towards the college, as again the circle, the runes light up and the flames envelop you, and you find yourself once more in the grotto, filled with these huge, great gemstones, and the distiller stood there once more. I trust your chip. There, we'll start again.
You're right,
I
distiller.
trust your trip was. I trust your trip was successful, Ander.
Yes, it was most beneficial. Thank you.
So it would seem. Your friends have certainly come on, but I am told the ship is ready. We should make our way.
There's just one thing. I did charge Mephisto with trying to craft me an item, but I feel what I have learned on my 2 weeks journey, I no longer need it. I feel like I don't have time to go see him now. Could you send word that he no longer needs to do this for me?
I shall. Do not worry.
Unless you want to double down on my charisma, Mr. DM.
You've sent word now.
Fuck.
Can I? Could I also say that when I went to go and get the armor, now that we've spoken about the said changes, that I also maybe tried to get them to create some sort of system that would mean that I don't destroy my armor if I shape change. Like leather straps that pop off or something.
Yeah, okay, so deduct another 20 gold.
Yep.
And what you now have is it's almost like a quick release system on the straps.
Yeah.
They
Nice.
tighten up, but should your muscles grow, it lifts and the straps will loosen and shift. You will not be as protected, but at least the armor will not be broken.
Yeah, that's what I wanted to do. So obviously it would still take just as long to take on and off properly, but in that, at least I don't destroy my armor. So cool. Which is why I will also stay with that armor because I'm making that change.
Good stuff.
Cool.
And with that, we will take a short break. And we're back.
Heyo.
Hey-o. Cool. So we've had our 2-week respite, if you want to call it that. There's been a lot of training. You can certainly consider everyone to have had a long rest, so multiple long rests. So whatever spells you need to change, any hit points you need to recover, anything else you need to do is all fine. Bothrid, for the last 2 weeks, has spent his time cultivating the garden, looking after the house, but also reading from the various books he has, to the point where he now can cook better meals while you are out on the road, travelling, and also has a deeper affinity with his druidic abilities. But other than that, has very much left you guys to your various activities, and just sort of kept to himself. Obviously, has still cooked meals for those that remain behind, and engaged in general chit chat. Was there during the conversations with Ander, but other than that, no major instances or events occur around Bothrid.
During the 2 weeks, so I would have just gone to Mephisto to get some material components for stuff.
Of course you would.
So the majority of the things are things that are just kind of mundane, so kind of just assume he has. But the thing I wanted to ask is that if he would have a diamond worth 500 gold pieces.
So you go to him fairly early on in the 2 week period and ask him if he has one. And he doesn't, but he does say he will try and requisition one. And now you best hope the dice gods are in your favour. Which they are just. And I mean just.
Nice. I would like to purchase that, please.
So you do, and he brings out a diamond. And actually, being you are a lieutenant, knocks off 10 gold from the price.
190. Thank you very much. Cool.
And his final words to you were very much along the lines of, that was rather difficult to come by. Let's not be asking for too many of them, eh?
We hope. Don't really want to use it, but better safe than sorry.
Yes. Tell your human friend not to tangle with any more swords.
Shouldn't be a problem.
We also said I was going to get the material components for what I needed and replace that with
any mundane components, just go for it.
Yeah, and also that was as a sort of a replacement to the silly bits and bobs I had in my items, which I sent you a list of. So shall I just delete all of them?
Yep.
Cool.
Yep.
So they've gone. And also would like to find, because I know that we don't have a limited space in the bag of holding, but just a couple of days of firewood, for evenings worth of firewood, so that we if in shits and giggles we're, in need of firewood because we can't get it, just a couple of nights. Yeah. We could even find it in the tree outside or something.
Around the keep, there are various wood piles. And you negotiate with the malt masters themselves, who obviously for the creation of the whiskies and the wines need firewood and need sources of fire, and they just give you the amount you require.
Good. Cool. That's not what I wanted to press.
Anything else?
Yeah, no, I just get used to using my Find Familiar.
You mean you get used to using your familiar and sort of attune with your familiar a bit more?
Yeah.
Dargon plays with his owl.
That sounds so dirty when you say it like that.
You should have got a monkey.
And that was...
do you know what? As Pebble was walking around the desk this evening, I should have went with a cat.
Should have gone with a cat. Yeah.
But no, it made more sense.
So the 2 weeks end, and as you approach midday of the sort of the day beginning of the next week, if you like, Kirik and Dargon, you are just doing some light sparring, sort of waiting for Anda to return and for any news of the airship or the Winter's Tale to reach you. And almost at the same time, Anda, you exit the Maltmaster's keep, and the Maltmasters themselves come down the ramp and begin to head towards the fighting pits or the fight arenas, where Kirik and Dargon are just lightly working through the motions, nothing too heavy. All of you have your gear sort of with you. Bothrid has actually packed up anything Anda left behind, knowing that today was the day that the party had agreed to leave. And the Maltmasters come down and all sort of bow their heads towards you, and it is the Stillman who chimes up. Our efforts have been fruitful. We are ready for you to ascend. You must make your way to the Sorrow Falls. The ship is waiting for you there.
It appears I have returned just in time. I'm assuming he's talking just to me, is he?
He's talking to the whole group. You're all now sort of in the same area.
Okay.
Without a moment to lose, then.
Indeed.
I must say thank you very much for everything that you've done and the hard work and the speed in which you've worked. I'm sure that we will very much enjoy the sights we see when we get to the falls. But
You certainly set lofty ambitions, and you achieved them.
Well, it hasn't changed, Garrett.
No. There was no hope.
No saving that man.
The Stillman himself has a totally blank expression, almost as if the joke has just gone.
Well, off we go then.
Off we go. I must say, Kirik, I know that you've been frustrated over these last 2 weeks that we haven't been able to go sooner, but you're glad to be going now. I know it's been on your mind of knowing that that isle is out there and that we want to do something about it.
I think he definitely clarified some things. I'm not sure what is happening in Grainflower and Vraco's disappearance. Seems like the two things should be connected. If Vraco is the one that the Maltmasters are sending out to deal with these problems. So it's perhaps good that we're getting Vraco now.
Yes.
Also,
I think that is a thread. Eloquence has not taught me not to put in, obviously. Go on, Dagon.
you know that the bloody hell, Kirik, he has changed. You know the Isle. I'm pretty sure that we've got the plan of get in, get out, and that it was the site of the last battle or something daft. I promise I was listening, honest. But it didn't mean smashing it with ammo, so I didn't really care. But do you think it's something that is got an ongoing power, or whether is there something we need to look out for, or we just need to get in, get out, and leave that isle to be as bad as it have been?
I think for now it's probably best to just get Vraco out. Whatever we find in the middle, we might have to deal with, but the priority should be to leave.
Yeah.
Vraco said that something was killing him, and I dare think there's something on the island itself.
Yeah, but that was what I was thinking, that if it's him, if there's something on the island that's killing him, is that something that we need to bear in mind, we need to take over, because otherwise the Isle of the Dead is still going to be the Isle of the Dead, and people are still going to get dragged there. And I, for one, like you, hate undead.
I feel, even if we go for a smash and grab type mission, we'll always find ourselves more trouble than we wanted to. So we probably will end up having to vanquish whatever foe keeps him there.
Oh, tosh, Ander, we'll be in and out in 15 minutes, you know that.
When was the last
You
time
just
that
dangle
happened?
me from a rope, I'll grab Draco, we'll be off.
Yeah. Or we'll do a
I do
halo
think
jump.
that-
I'll lob you in and you land on the floor. How about that?
I do believe that thread is worth pulling, though, Kirik, around the link between the Isle of the Dead and now Greenflower, which is becoming another Isle of the Dead.
Definitely. Something to think on.
Then I think we should head on our way to the falls.
Indeed.
Agreed.
As you turn to leave and the Malt Masters all bid you farewell, the blender pauses for a moment. Be careful, boys. And her eyes just look into the distance, almost as if she's remembering something.
Knowing what you
back
spoke
alive.
before, we'll be extra careful.
What did she speak before?
Just come back alive.
Did you say the
I
blender?
nudge. Yeah.
Didn't the distiller's
nudge
husband
under-
die? No,
No, it was the
blender's
blender.
husband.
Yeah.
Well, I wrote distiller.
I think it
Let
was.
me cross that out. Matt, distiller or blender? What am I writing down?
Blender. It was the blender.
Fuck. It's because we didn't mention it to the distiller, isn't it?
It was Lilith's mum.
There we go. Okay.
So you begin to trudge your way down out of the village into the sort of mountain passes and eventually find the path that you've been told will lead you down towards the Sorrow Falls, and you can hear the water before you get there. But eventually you walk out onto a cliff edge almost, and you can see the water spray down to your left. As you now look down, you can see Loch Esamir spread out before you, and in the distance, sort of down, you see something that is somewhat familiar but also vastly different. As you see the familiar hull, the familiar figurehead of the Winter's Tale, but it has been changed to the point where now there are ropes leading up from the sides to this huge, great, reddish balloon. There is what can only be described as a propeller attached to the rear end of it, and it is also now raised out of the water onto the side of the loch itself, and there are what look like skis that are now attached to the underside of it. And you can see various people sort of milling around, and you make your way down towards this new airship. And you find stood just sort of marvelling to the ship and the balloon. You see Captain Swift and Hedam Nosk stood just sort of looking, arms crossed, looking up at it. And Charlie turns to Hedam. Well, my friend, didn't think I'd see this day. Hedam turns. Not the seas, though, is it? Let us hope the skies are more forgiving. Charlie looks, sees you now. Well, Hedam, with this group, don't think anything's going to be forgiving. But then, as we have always said, any adventure is worth taking. Welcome back, my friends.
A fine ship you have, indeed.
Yes, some significant modifications.
Did airships exist before this?
Make me Make me a history check, please.
15.
15.
Yep.
You have heard of airships before, and you've heard of them used. They are quite rare. You have yet to see one until now, but it does very much match the description of designs you have heard of before, whether they were from Nylon or not.
Have you taken her for a blast around the lake? Have you, Captain?
Not yet. It seems our test journey will be your journey.
Maiden voyage. What could go wrong? Hey.
It shall be an honour to Captain Swift.
Told you're leading us towards an island of dead things.
Wow, we want to take you anywhere
nice
boring.
Trip, are you?
Nah. Although, if you want to go back to Greenflower, that's just as bad, apparently. I'm afraid to say.
So I'm told. Right. Well, the rest of the crew is on board. Hedam and I were just marvelling. Hedam obviously has some affinity with wind. No offense, Hedam. These sort of grunts. This could be interesting. Did you know they trapped an elemental?
Oh, blimey. That's impressive.
What in the blue?
Well, no, the fire that sort of fills the balloon is an elemental. It's, well, me being me and who I am, I was a little bit taken aback, but at least it was a fire elemental and not a water elemental.
Were they not a willing participant then?
I'm not sure a fire elemental will ever do anything you ask it to do.
Touche.
Well, look, I suppose we better get going. Our good friend is unfortunately withering away on this island.
Excellent. Well, I'm told that the Winter's Tail will now be able to achieve, depending on the wind, anywhere from around 4 to 12 miles an hour. So it's probably going to take us about a day to get there.
Cool. I was suddenly worried that I'd had too big a lunch.
Well, if there's anything you don't need, probably worth unloading it now. Any weight will certainly slow us down.
Alright, I'll go for a piss. Hang on.
Lovely. Bothrid looks at this contraption, looks at the balloon, and is evidently nervous. Sort of clutching onto his white staff, just a bit like...
It's the first time for all of us, Bothrid. I'm sure we're in this together.
All the same, who has rope?
All you gotta do, Bothrid, is think about the fact that you're on the top of a mountain. Alright? Sturdy underneath. You'll be fine. Nowhere to go on a mountain. You'll be fine.
Well, there's always down, and down long way.
Yeah, but you can turn into a bird.
no.
You need to study the book that Dagon got you.
Honestly, Bothrid, we'll all be fine. Come on then.
And you sort of have to half pick Bothrid up, but eventually you all step onto the ship, which has had some serious modifications now that you get closer to it. You can see that the main deck itself has been pretty much stripped down. Where the masts once were, they no longer exist. In the centre of the main deck is what can only be described as a fire pit with this furiously raging flame in the centre of it. And as you look down now, it's contained within this bright red large gemstone, and the flame seems to erupt out of it. And there is a wooden sort of guard around it, a little metal door, if you like, or gate on the front hand side to allow you to get to it, or allow people to get to it if they need to be. The rear end of the ship is very much similar. It still has the nautical wheel, the ship steering wheel. The cannons are all gone, however. In their place, on the front of the ship, is a... when I get to the right description... there are a number of ropes that climb up from the sides, and you can see as you approach that there is a crow's nest on top of the balloon. That the only way to access that is by climbing the ropes up over the balloon. Does anybody want to investigate the balloon itself?
Yes.
Yeah, I'll have a look.
Make me an investigation check, please.
Oh.
Ooh.
Question.
21.
Because of my Raven's notebook,
Yes.
do I get advantage on that?
If you are spending time, then yes, you
It
do.
says such. 10.
Well, that
I'm
was worth it.
I'm just drawing it.
Yeah.
Cool. So, Kirik, while it is a marvel, it's some form of balloon. Dargon, however, you peer closer, and although there's no scales on it, it is very, very, almost uncannily similar to dragon hide. Not dragon scale, but the hide itself.
I'll turn to Captain Swift and... That's bloody great dragon, that is. Where you got that from?
Don't ask me. That Stillman he's a creepy character.
I was wondering what would hold up against all the heat, though, so that kind of swings.
Yeah, red dragon makes sense.
Well, that it does. Yeah. Hope it will help against other things if we come up against them and all.
Let's hope we don't.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more.
Things in the sky. They've taken away my cannons, my mangonels. You can see instead we have this. They call it a harpoon gun, supposedly.
Oh, good.
And as you look onto the forward upper deck, there is this giant contraption, fashioned in sort of this burnished bronze. There's iron fittings. It's bolted to the deck itself, but you can also see via the mechanism it looks like it can swing in like almost a 90-degree arc on the front of the ship, and there is a winch attached to it, and in a container of sorts, or a rack of sorts, there are these 10 steel tipped harpoons laid out ready for use. As you now look to the back of the ship, there is a smaller contraption, very similar, but this looks to be repurposed. It's one of the ballista that previously existed on the Winter's Tale, but it's been just shifted to the back. This also has a 90-degree arc of fire, and behind it there is a crate, and you can see in there's probably around a dozen ballista bolts in there. So there are some weapons.
Well, you seem to be fairly well armed here.
I always preferred the mangonels, but at least we had people that were skilled with these things. It's interesting.
Let's hope we don't have to find out how good they are. If you'll...
Yes, indeed.
If you'll excuse me, I'll leave you to getting used to all of this. I'll pop out off to the front.
Very well. So you make your way along the ship. Bothrid himself gets to the railing and ties the rope around the railing, ties the rope around himself, and just secures himself to the inside of the railing and sits, holds his staff, and just settles in. But he is sat tense. And it takes about an hour for the supplies to be loaded and for everybody to get ready. But then the familiar crew are all aboard. The people that have been working on the ship sort of back away. And you just hear Charlie from the helm shout, "Well, it's now or never.
I say now."
And you can see there are weights, or ropes that were tied to weights, attached to the side of the ship. They are all cast off, and slowly but surely the ship just begins to rise up. And Bothrid, you can see him sat there, he just goes...
As it starts rising, I go on, Azazel, and just shift my shoulder, and Azazel goes and starts flying off and around the ship, as I then go and comfort Bothrid and put my hand on his shoulder.
And you just see this smallish figure as a grey owl just circles the ship as it rises. And then Charlie, she's got a bit of parchment in front of her, sort of against the wheel as she holds it. And she reaches down and she's got a couple of levers, and then she just pulls one, and you can just hear this. And eventually the ship begins to not only rise, but begin to steadily move forward. And seeing that it works, Charlie, the grin on her face is literally ear to ear, like almost ear-splitting grin. And she spins the wheel. "Southwest then, boys, yes?"
All right.
I believe so.
Or is it southeast?
Oh, Lord.
Something like that.
It's southeast,
Yeah.
I think.
Yeah.
Yeah, bottom right.
Oh, good. She spins it back a bit. Catches it. Oh, this is fun. Eventually the ship
nice.
turns, and as the sun rises overhead, you begin to make your way steadily but surely forward. Doesn't seem to be much of a headwind or a tailwind at this point. You're just steadily going through the air, and you can see the crew themselves seem to have been well versed in various aspects of this ship. There are some that are checking the ropes. Geo, rather amazingly, swings herself up onto one of the ropes and just begins climbing. Climbs up the balloon. You see her disappear, and you can only assume now she's in the crow's nest.
Nice.
I will use Azazel to look to see whether she's in the crow's nest.
And as you see through the eyes of Azazel, and you can sort of see outwards as well with this sort of wide view, you can see the ship. You see yourself, which is a bizarre feeling. It's
Fucking
almost like
weird,
looking
that.
at the back of your head. You're a bit like, is that what I look like from behind?
Fucking hell. Toned up a bit.
And then you can see Geo is sort of held into this crow's nest. She's held onto a rope. She's just leaning. She's looking out. But again, she's looking quite happy in that crow's nest. Karstam himself is... Carry on.
I was just going to say, during the journey, I would find Ander and I would go up to him. How are you feeling?
I must say that my short time away, I feel a bit rejuvenated, to be honest with you. I feel like I've got a new lease of life, ironically, for our quest to the Isle of the Dead. Feeling quietly confident.
You look it. I wanted to give you some sort of closure, I guess. I left the sword with the distiller. She gave me promise that it will be taken care of. I thought you might want to know that.
I think you've probably left it in the most capable hands we know. She is a very, very powerful woman. So
Yeah, that's what I thought.
I think it was a good call.
Good.
Do you want to see a trick that I've learned on my travels?
Yeah, go ahead.
So, with my active feet, I can mimic people's voices if I've heard them talk for longer than a minute. So, I'm going to copy Bofford's voice.
Do it.
So, you just talk like Bofford for a second so I can get into character.
No, you should have remembered this. No, it's fine. Buffett speaks a little bit like this. I don't like heights.
Bofford scared of flying. Bofford make good omelets. Huh? No.
I mean, yes, but it's
Rock
strange. It's strange hearing his voice through.
It's uncanny, right? Uncanny.
It's confusing, is what it is.
It's useful. Is
So-
what it is.
I'm sure you'll find ways for that to be useful, for sure, but it is bizarre. I'm not going to lie.
It was like
but
he was
good.
right.
What it is a great DM's mechanic for coming up with voices that he is never going to be able to mimic.
Yeah, that's true.
No, it's going to be cool.
You're going to be like Scousers from now on and Geordies. Really had accents to pull up.
Scouse is easy. You right, mate? Cool.
well,
So you see eventually,
oh.
as you spend, you're probably about an hour into your journey now, Bralin takes over, and he himself does not look particularly comfortable, but is sticking by his captain. Being a creature of the sea, he is used to being on the waves, and now he's in the air. But he mans the helm as Charlie sort of walks around the ship, making sure things are all in order. You can see Feltag is looking after the rear ballista. Karstan is very much making sure the front harpoon gun, if you like, or harpoon cannon is tickety-boo. Obviously we have Geo on top. You can see Hedam is actually stood by the side, just on one of the sides, and he sort of has his staff, and his hand is actually out of the side, just sort of feeling the wind as you all flow through. Movud, as per usual, is not on deck. and just making sure I've caught everyone there. That should be the full crew of The Winter's Tale. It is indeed. Ah, no, sorry, did miss one. Gore himself is much like Charlie, just pottering around, sort of motioning around as he passes your... Good to see you again, friends.
And you, good to see you good and well.
Well, let us see what this journey brings.
Death and misfortune.
Wouldn't want to run into any...
I'm going to try and do everyone's voices now.
Do it.
It will bring us death and misfortune. I make vodka in bathtub.
Very good. Very good. New trick you have learned, yes?
Duh.
At this point,
very good.
Dargon's looking very strangely at Ander because the moment before I was away from you guys and also in, looking and hearing through my owl, so I didn't hear a word of what happened before. I'm like, what? Oh, Ander, you all right? Fucking hell, that's pretty impressive. That is.
Just trying out one of my new tricks.
Yeah, nice.
Well, let us hope it stays clear skies. Not want to see what happens to a big balloon should the lightning strike.
Dragon skin should hold up pretty well, though. Fingers crossed and all that.
Dragon skin full of hot air. Maybe not.
Yeah, same as Ander then.
Big bada boom.
Gore does let out a chuckle and then continues about his duties and then disappears below deck as well. Is there anything anybody particularly wants to do during this day's journey?
I'll read a couple hours more, 2 hours more of the book.
Okay.
Not a bad shout.
Absolutely.
I will use my the Artful Dodger training ball for target practice.
Okay.
To steady
So you
my
spend
aim.
some time training with that. As per the item, when I find it, there we go. Orb of the Artful Dodger. Using this for target practice. Yep.
Oh, I've just realised I should have done it before, towards the end of the journey, because it grants me +1 on ranged attacks for 2 hours, doesn't it?
All right. Well, you can say you save that towards the end of the journey. That's fine. Or you can do it now. Entirely up to you.
I'll do it towards the end, so I've got it for when I land.
Okay. Cool.
Yeah.
So you spend actually the majority of the time reading your books, helping where required. We will say, for the sake of it, you get about 3 hours of reading done per book. So add or chalk off another 3 hours on the books. Make me a perception check, everyone, please.
Just bear with before I ask that.
My perception's well good now. 21.
Oh, nice.
Can I be looking through Azazel?
If you want to continue looking through Azazel, as you...
After I finish reading.
Do you use the perception check? The perception bonus? Oh, nice.
And advantage on perception.
Owls do have great eyes.
Something stupid.
Plus 7 or something. I got a 17, by the way.
17?
21.
21. So the whole lot of you are sat reading when on the wind there is a voice. And you just hear this. It is time for revenge. And then out of seemingly nowhere, a green dragon ascends through the clouds, winged by 2 wyverns, as it then swoops down in front of the ship, sort of seemingly keeping pace. To those who slayed my brother, I come for vengeance. And that is where we're going to leave it tonight.
No.
You had to over a year ago.
I'm definitely not wearing his brother as mithril armor right now. Either.
So, I always love a cliffhanger. I'm sure these guys too, but we will get straight into it next week, I promise, with this encounter in the skies. Let's see how people fare being not on land when it comes to combat. Once again, a huge thank you to all the tools that we've used tonight. Didn't get to hear too many sound effects. Next week, I'm sure we'll get to hear loads. So, Mr. Wizard, please be prepared for that. But a thank you once again to Incarnate. I was using Incarnate at the back end just to do some of the calculations regarding sort of the travel times and things like that, looking at various maps. It is really, really useful just to get an overview. Even if you just create a basic map on there, a basic parchment map, it gives you a world to work with. It is amazing. D&D Beyond is phenomenal at doing everything we need it to do. All the guys that have got extras tonight, such as familiars, feats, those sorts of things, have very much enjoyed being able to just click and add them to their character sheet without having to scan through source books, although we all do love a source book, and add the necessary rules. Tabletop Audio has been sounding throughout tonight, so please do give them a check out if you need to. As always, please do go and check out BattleBards if you do want to use any sound effects. Code is on the screen now. Please, Malt Magic, if you want to get yourselves a cheeky discount. Other than that, please check out our social media channels as well. I always forget to say this, but please do it. Go check us out on YouTube as well if you want to catch any of the past episodes or want to catch Malt Magic and more that you've not caught from last week. Go see what we chat shit about for about half an hour to 45 minutes after the stream, and just get some unique insight into the story as well. But ultimately, a huge thank you to all of you that are watching this on YouTube. Soon, hopefully, to those of you that may be listening as well. Little teaser there to something we may be trying to figure out and hopefully getting sorted soon. I have been Matt, your DM. We have been the Malt and Magic crew. Thoroughly enjoyed tonight. We will see you next week.